Hey everyone, welcome to the next tutorial. And this one, I decided, if you look at our game, right next to the health bar right here, uh, right to the left of the health bar, I'm gonna have this little heart icon that kind of hovers above it and spins around, just because it'll add a little, I don't know, little something to look at down at the HUD that's kind of animated, make it look nice. So I went ahead and got the images I'm going to use. I just found on Google Images like a sprite sheet of some pixel hearts, and I cut them out. So like this is frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4, and frame 5. And it's going to work pretty much just like the explosion, only instead of after it ends we get rid of the image, we're going to have it just keep looping. So let's go ahead and get started. So we know I'm going to make a new file, and it's going to be called heart icon. And I noticed I changed my font in the past episode back down to a smaller font size, and I'm sorry if you guys couldn't really see it well in the last video. Let me change that back. When I'm working on stuff outside of these videos, I tend to like it the font size a little smaller, but I'll raise it so you guys can see it. Okay, so here's our heart icon object that we're gonna make. So we're gonna import Pygame, import constants as C. I don't think I'll need that, but just in case. Class, we're gonna make a heart icon. It's gonna inherit from the sprite submodule and the sprite object. Do our constructor method. Run our super method. Okay, and a lot of this stuff's gonna be just like all the other image-based objects we've made. So first we're gonna load all of the images in. Each animation, and then we'll make an actual self.image variable that contains whatever the current image that is shown on the screen. So let's do self.img. What do we want to call it? Just heart. Yeah, we'll just do heart01. I'll name it like that. So pygame.image.load, and I named it heart01.png. And it does have alpha, so we'll convert alpha. And I don't need to transform these. They're all the appropriate size, or should be. Go ahead and put all 5 of them on here. All right, so it's going to start off. Self.image will be the first one. So it's going to be heart01. So what are some of the things we're going to need? We're going to need to load all these into a list. So let's actually do this. Right after we load all 5 of the frames in, we'll do self dot, I'll call it like animation list. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm gonna load every single one of the frames into this animation list. Oh. Dang it. And then we'll just do this self.image equals self. Actually, I'm gonna try and organize this a little bit. So we loaded all the images in right here. I don't know why I was just pointing at the screen. You can't tell what I'm pointing at. We loaded all the images in. I made a list that contains all the images. Now we need to have an index, which will be a pointer that always points at whatever the current image is going to be. So self.image index. Actually, what did I call it on the explosion? I kind of want to use the same naming convention. Animation index. So let's go back to heart icon. So it's going to equal 0, and then we can do self.image equals, we'll grab the animation list that we just made, and we'll pass in self.animation index. So it's going to grab the 0th element from the animation list, so it's going to grab the first frame. And all we're going to do every update is just update this animation index, so it'll go frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4, frame 5, and when it hits 6, it reverts back to 0. And it'll just keep looping. But I also want to, like the explosion, we don't want to just loop every single, or we don't want to change it every frame. We want to have like some duration, like it'll stay on each one for a certain amount of frames. So I'll make one called self frame duration, and we'll say every 3 frames it'll change. All right, so let's go ahead and make the update method. So on every update, we'll do if self dot. Oh, we actually needed to get this too. We need to get the total number of frames that are in this list so we can track if the index counter goes over the total number of images, so it knows when to loop back through. So we can do self dot total frames equals, or we'll call it max index. Max index equals the length of self dot anim list. And then remember, we got to subtract 1 from it because this is going to return 5. But really, there's only 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 elements in here, but index 5 is really number 6. So we got to subtract 1 from it. All right, so I think that's everything we need. Oh, sorry, I had to jump in here and edit something. There's one other thing we need. So where we have self.frame duration, we need to have what the current duration value is plus what the max duration. The max duration is always going to be 3, but we need a variable that's going to count down from 3. But we also need one that's going to store the number 3 so it knows what to revert back to when it hits 0. So I'm just going to call that self max frame duration equals 3. And then we'll set the current frame duration, which will be like the timer that counts down to self.max frame duration. All right. Okay, so the first thing we want to check here is if it's frame duration, if that hits 0, then now we want to change the image. So we want to do self dot animation index plus equals 1, which will change the pointer to point to a different image. But as soon as we increase it by 1, we need to check and make sure it's not going over the max index. So as soon as we increase it by 1, we need to do another if statement. So if self.max index is greater than if self.animation index is greater than the max index, then assign the index 0. And after we've raised the index or adjusted the index, we need to set the image. So self.image equals self.animation list self.animation index. So we're doing the same thing we did up here where we have the image and we're assigning it whatever the current pointer is on the animation list. And that goes right there. Once we have done all that, we need to adjust the frame duration and set it back. So self.frame duration equals self.max frame duration. And what else we need to do? One other thing. Oh yeah, at the bottom of this, we always need to decrement the frame animation or frame duration. So self.frame duration minus equals 1. So this should work. Well, one other thing we need to do up here though is get the rect attribute so we can place it on the screen. So self.rect equals self.image.getRect and self.rect.x. Where do we want this thing to be? I'm going to say 20 pixels from the left side of the screen, and it needs to be, we're going to toy around with these numbers, but it'll be like c.display height. So it's starting at the bottom of the screen, and then we'll raise it, I don't know, 50 pixels. We're going to toy around with these numbers. Well, hold on. We actually need to subtract its height and then start raising it. So minus self.image or self.rect.height. And then just subtract some numbers, which this number we're going to tweak around a bit. And this heart icon, it's currently not going to go on the screen yet, but I want to add it to the HUD. So what's the best way to do this? So I'll probably we'll do from health or heart icon, import the heart icon. And we'll just do we'll put it here, self.heart icon equals a heart icon object. And we'll just give it like a group called icons group. And we're going to make a bunch of other icons too, and I'll throw them all in this one icons group, and then we'll have the HUD run its the icons group update method. So pygame.sprite.group and self.icons group.add, and we'll add the heart icon to it. All right, and so now we actually need to run its draw method. So we'll go back to main, and where we're drawing everything, I want it above the health bar, so we'll do player.hud.iconsgroup.draw. All right, so let's see if that works. I'm sure something's gonna be, all right, so yeah, it looks like it's working, but I know we're gonna have to adjust the, I kind of want it to overlap the HUD, so let's do this. Let's go back to the HUD. Or sorry, the heart icon. Let's go back to the heart icon, and let's subtract 30. Let's see where that shows up. Yeah, so something like that, and then I'll actually move it 5 or 6 pixels to the left, and then move the health bar over. So just subtract 6 from this, so it'll be 14. Yeah, I like that. And then the health bar I actually want to move over, so let's go to the health bar. Healthbar.py. And I actually think we set its position in the HUD, so let's go to HUD.py. Where did we set its position at? Oh, it's right here. All right, so it's X. Let's make it something like 20. Yeah, there we go. So it just moves it over a little bit. Makes it look a little nicer. So yeah, and I kind of like how we could probably slow it down a bit. So if we go to the heart icon, that max frame duration, let's change it to like 5. So every 5 frames it changes image. Yeah, I kind of like that more. Alright, yeah, that's cool. Let's make sure our health bar's still working. Yeah, so it's working. Yeah. Alright, cool. So yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to go over in this video. In the next one, I don't know what we're gonna do. We'll do something cool, but yeah, I'll release the next video tomorrow, and you guys have a good day.